And now we still have a slight bit of mobility of the window where we can adjust the 3/16. Now the 3/16 is kind of difficult to see, so what I do is I take a regular fiberglassing squeegee and I cut it down to about 1 inch wide, and I remove as much of the excess as I can. All the way around the perimeter. If you find that you've put a window in and you haven't located, or you've missed the location of a hole where you didn't drill one but you think you need to put one, you can actually come back and drill right through the sill-proof and go ahead and add a Cleco clamp anywhere that's necessary. It's just nicer to know where they go prior to installing the window and getting them in the proper location to start with. Now that we can see a little bit more of the joggle, I'm going to make some final adjustments. The window needs to come aft just a little bit. And you can tell it's moving aft because the 3/16 of an inch gap here, the glue will start to push out of it. And I'm going to tighten these clamps up a little bit more. And you want to come around. The sill-proof is pretty thick. And you want to push around the perimeter to make sure that the window goes down and rests on all the hard points that you have placed underneath. And then tighten these up just a tad bit more. And do another cleanup with your flat squeegee. It's not necessary to get it 100% cleaned up, but if you get all the extra out of there, the next step will be less messy. Now I've taken a tongue depressor, simple tongue depressor, and I've put a slightly large radius on one end and a little bit smaller radius on the other end. What I use this is as a tool to come in and clean a nice curved fillet in the reveal. You can do it once with a big side. Come back and clean up your extra rollout. And you can push down and make sure that it stayed in place. Make sure your clamps are snug, not over tightened. And you can pull another little bit out of your reveal. Now what you're going to do is take your tool and keep it at an angle on the first couple of passes like this and take it out shallow, wipe it off, and then when you're ready you bring your tool more to 90 degrees and you can see that you're going to dig it out a little bit deeper and remove more material. At that point, when you've taken the big end of the tool and you've removed as much material as you can get out, you take your smaller end of your tool and you do the same thing. You keep it about 45 degrees and pull a little bit more out, and then you put it in at 90 degrees and pull it out even deeper. And the reason for this you'll see in the next step. We're going to do this all the way around the window and try to make a nice even radius, starting close to the Cleco clamps, the little spreader blocks that you put in, the aluminum blocks. You gotta get up underneath there and get rid of all that excess. And when this cures, it takes some time for the seal-proof to fully cure, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this up really good, and I'm going to leave this window sit for a minimum of 2 days and let that seal-proof cure for a minimum of 48 hours. You can go longer if you wish. Longer won't hurt, but that way we're assured of a good cure with the seal-proof. Get rid of some of this extra roll out here and pull one more time. And continue all the way around. With the big side of the tool and the small side of the tool digging deep. You want to get as much of that out of there as you can on this go around. And dig it deep. By doing this, after the seal-proof cures, in a couple of days you're going to remove these clamps, and obviously where the block of aluminum is, you're going to have an imperfection in the seal-proof because you weren't able to remove the seal-proof from the joggle in that location. And after this cures, I'll show you how to fix that and why it's important to take quite a bit of this out at this point of time. I'm taking it down pretty deep. Reaching under each Cleco clamp and trying to remove as much of that as I can. When this does cure, we'll take a razor blade after we remove the Cleco clamps, and we'll cut a little V-notch and remove that extra flat spot right up underneath the aluminum block. And then we'll take a little bit more seal-proof and we'll fill the entire reveal one more time, and it will cover the hole and cover the imperfection. You'll have a beautiful, even reveal all the way around. That's it. Now we wait for this to dry. At this point, I still need to clean up the back, so I'm going to take this top deck and I'm going to flip it over, and using a couple blocks of 2x4s, I'm going to rest it so that it won't interfere with the Cleco clamps. And we have quite a bit of squeeze out to clean out on the bottom. Bottom, I'm just going to try to roughly get rid of as much of it as I can to start with. Wiping it into a paper towel to keep my hands clean. You don't want to scrape too much of it off on the tape side because remember we filled the 1/16 of an inch reveal caused by the first tape pull, where you saw the 1/16 of an inch of glass showing through. We want to maintain the tape is actually just inside of the joggle here. I don't know if you can see that. If I scrape it real clean, there's a tape line about a 1/16 of an inch, and if I scrape it like this, when you look through it from the other side, you'll actually see that the seal-proof is thin. So what I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to keep the squeegee at a nice flat angle and just pull all the way around, removing the excess, but just leaving a little bit on there. By doing this, I'm assured that I'm not pulling too much seal-proof off of that 1/16 of an inch area, and this is going to allow a nice cosmetic line on the outside, an even continual color that won't be broken where we added that that little bit of color to start with. And we pulled the tape. Now, if you're happy with it, you're happy with the cleanup, you can clean the extra off, which will all come off when you pull the tape, but you can clean up. You just don't want to scrape it. You want to just sort of gingerly leave a little bit of film on there. See, I'm happy with that. I don't see the edge of the tape anywhere. And here I have a nice even line of seal-proof, nice even color. And I'm going to come back. This is important to remember to pull this layer of tape now. Don't forget this layer of tape, because once the seal-proof dries, it gets a little bit rubbery and flexible. And when you pull this tape, it'll just pull out from underneath the seal-proof and won't cut a nice line. This particular tape that I'm pulling now is going to be your cosmetic line that you see from the outside of the aircraft. And when we pull this out, it'll cut a nice crisp line. Be sure to pull it real slow not to tear it. It's going to cut a nice, cosmetically crisp, straight line. And you'll be able to let this cure now. And in 2 days, we'll pull the clamps. Okay, now that this top deck window has been installed for 2 days and curing, I'm going to remove the wing cleco clamps, wing nut cleco clamps, and show how to clean this up. If this were, say, a windshield, I'd probably be leaving this stuff cure for more like 3 days or possibly 4 days on the window, just on the windshield, just to be sure that it's got a good amount of time to cure. Okay, now as you can see, we've got some squeeze out along the edge that has to be removed, and with just a rub of the finger on the edge, it rolls it off this inner edge and takes it off. If you're concerned that it's not all coming off, you can use a stir stick and just clean it up as such. You want to remove all of the seal-proof from the fuselage and the radius, top edge of the radius into the joggle, if you're going to paint the aircraft, especially because seal-proof's non-paintable. So you want to make sure that you remove that extra seal-proof, and therefore you can roll your paint down in towards the 3/16 of an inch reveal and tape into the reveal just a little bit. By doing this, then you can come back after you paint and you can do the final dressing, which I'm going to go ahead and do today. You can do the final dressing on the window. This particular top deck is going to stay gel coat, so we're not going to worry too much about it. I'm going to clean the edge up. Okay, now where all your clamps were, on these areas where the clamps were and the aluminum plates were, you need to take a razor blade and in a slight angle just cut that segment out as so. Just V it out till it's below grade. which this one is. Just cut it out with a sharp razor blade, removing the excess down at the bottom that may be just a little bit loose from the razor blade cut. Now that we've gotten all of the little pieces that we've trimmed the corners out, and they're all below grade, what I do is I take just a little bit of seal-proof. I push right down in the middle to make sure the hole gets filled. Just put a little bit in the corner. Then I take the same tool that I had before and I hold it at an angle as we go across. I hold it at an angle as we go across, and I exit past the hole in the dig out. I bring this back up to vertical, which scrapes it to where it matches the same depth as the bottom. Now watch. Come across, and then I exit straight up. I'll come in at an angle this way, will not interfere with what I've already pulled, and as I get past the dig out, I exit straight up. And you can see there, it's a perfect blend, and you'll never see it. I'll show you that 3 more times. Now this is, come in at an angle and just smooth it. In at an angle, and as I get past my dig out, I bring my tool into a vertical position. Past the dig out, pull my tool at a, and we have a good blend. Now, there's no need to fix these holes right now if you're going to paint the aircraft. You would wait till after you painted to fix this, and you could actually come and pull another bead around the entire perimeter, and you could make it flush with the window on the top deck, or you could put a nice little radius in it if you wished after it was painted. I think I'm going to need a little bit more in that one. At an angle, and then pull up. Start in at an angle, and pull it straight up. Okay, the technique that I just demonstrated in repairing the corners would be if you wanted to leave it to the grade that it was originally by striking it deep. This particular customer wanted me to strike it deep so that he had the capability of coming back later and painting it. He didn't want to have to dig it all out to be able to run the paint down into the edge. What I'll demonstrate now is if you wanted a flush. After you would dig these out, would be no need to fix the corners as I've done. What you could actually do is take the seal-proof and just run a bead all the way around the edge, just like that, and you could call that done. Or you could add just a little bit more to it.